Young filmmakers from Palo Alto and around the world will show their productions at a local youth film festival.
Pali is getting ready for a new group of class presidents. We will meet them.
And violence in Venezuela as a violent coup to oust President Maduro continues.
All that and more is coming up on today's show.
Welcome to InFocus. I'm Thomas Colburn.
And I'm Jason Goldie.
There's a lot going on around campus.
Here's some important announcements from today's campus bulletin.
Looking for summer volunteer opportunities? Go to the Tower Building to check out the Community Service Bulletin Board outside the College and Career Center office. For more questions, contact Kay Larson at pausd.org. The Dance Team's 2019 Annual Spring Showcase is here, featuring award-winning competition pieces, raffle prizes, a bake sale, and guest performances from across Pali campuses. Come out and see them perform on Tuesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. in the PAC. Tickets can be purchased on the quad this week or online via palidance.com.
Next Friday is Pali World Fest. The ASB-hosted event will be filled with activities that appreciate Pali and cultures from around the world. The event takes place May 3rd during lunch and tutorial on the quad, and free food will be available. In performing arts news, Pali Theater's one-act showcases this week. Performances are May 2nd through 4th. Each show begins at 7:30. Tickets and information can be found at palitheater.com.
Moving on now from what's going on around campus to what's happening in the world and locally today.
Let's take a look at what's topping today's headlines in today's News Minute.
Japanese Emperor Akihito is abdicating the throne, making the way for his son to take his place. Crown Prince Naruhito will become Japan's 126th emperor. The 85-year-old Akihito has served as the country's monarch since 1989. He says he's leaving his position due to health issues. Naruhito's swearing-in ceremony is today. He says he will work to continue his father's legacy.
Tuesday's call to action is the opposition's boldest attempt yet to unseat Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Dozens of people were injured in street clashes after opposition leader Juan Guaido called on his supporters and the military to rise up against the embattled leader. Right now, both sides are claiming the upper hand. The government is calling the uprising a coup, but Guaido insists it's a peaceful transition.
May 1st is May Day. Many of us think of this day as a celebration of spring, but the National Day calendar notes May 1st was actually the first day of summer in many ancient calendars. May Day has shared a date with International Workers' Day since the 1880s. Labor unions around the world like to hold protests to commemorate. May Day is not related to May Day, the distress call, though. That actually comes from a French term which translates to help me. With the year winding down, preparations for the next school year are starting.
Especially in ASB, where they are preparing for new class presidents to take charge.
InFocus reporter Trey Bishoping has more.
As many of you may know, there are new ASB presidents. With new presidents comes new changes to Pali. The upperclassmen presidents have even made change in previous years before they were elected.
So this past year I've been involved in a bunch of planning for different activities, some of which have been Quadcella, Cookies on the Quad, and Prom, which has been most recent.
So in ASB, whenever we plan events, a lot of time it's like a group effort, but specifically last year, me and the freshman class president were in charge of the dance, and we're coming up with like World Week, which is going to be in 2 weeks that I'm planning also. Class fundraisers for our class of 2021, that was like me and Adora. So yeah.
The new presidents have big goals for the future and hope to give students more of a say in what happens on campus.
So one of my biggest goals for next year is I feel like there's this lack of communication between administrators and students, and really just like input from students to school board members and like admin. And this is one thing that Zoe and I have tried to like combat this year, like reaching out about CASP testing incentives, and that's something I want to continue over to next year. And one of my events that I hope to do is host an ASB fishbowl with school board members where students can go and like give their opinions on certain topics, because I think that's something that's super valuable.
There will be many events in the future to raise money in order to have more class bonding activities.
A lot of class fundraisers, because our class has like no money, so we can't really do anything else besides obviously Spirit Week also, but like class fundraisers so we can do more class bonding activities and just things that our grade wants to do.
The new leaders have been listening to these students and will try to implement their ideas in the future.
I feel like during election time, I just campaigned a lot, and I went to other people, I talked to them, I asked what they wanted to do, and with that help, I wrote it down and stuff like that, and I told them this is what I'm going to do, and a lot of people were like, oh, I want that. So.
Now that you know your presidents and their goals, we hope you can support them in the upcoming year. For InFocus, I'm Trey Bishoping.
Too bad I won't be able to see how the new class presidents do. You'll have to send me a text and let me know while I'm away at college, Jason.
Totally will, Thomas. These new presidents really worked hard to climb their way to the top.
And Derek is in the studio with the story of one man who claimed his way to the top on this very day in this installment of Today in History.
That's right, Thomas. Today is all about reaching the summit, and I mean that literally. Today in 1963, James Whittaker of Redmond, Washington became the first American to reach the summit of Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world. Everest stands at 29,028 feet above sea level and is called Chomolungma, or Mother Goddess of the Land, by the local Tibetans. But the English named the mountain after Sir George Everest, an early 19th century British surveyor of the Himalayas. In May 1953, climber and explorer Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay of Nepal made the first successful climb of the peak. Queen Elizabeth II later knighted Hillary for the achievement. It was only until 10 years later that American James Whittaker reached the Everest summit with his Sherpa climbing partner Nawang Gambu. That's all from me. Back to you guys.
Thanks for that, Derek. After the break, Anthony will be in the studio with the latest in sports.
And our favorite weather guy will tell us how the weekend forecast is shaping up.
InFocus will be right back. Welcome back.
With the school year wrapping up, Pally sports teams are in the final stretch of their seasons.
Anthony's in the studio now with the latest in Pally sports news. How are athletes rounding out their seasons?
There are 10 games playing today. Let's take a look at one game played yesterday. Boys JV lacrosse snatched the win against Carmel, winning with a score of 10-9. At 3 p.m., boys varsity tennis will walk over and play against San Mateo at 4 p.m. JV softball will be at bat at Lynbrook, while varsity softball plays at home. JV baseball will batter up at Los Altos, while varsity baseball plays at home. Also at 4 p.m., girls varsity lacrosse will face off at Mountain View, following girls JV lacrosse at 5:15 p.m. At 5:30 p.m., boys JV volleyball will duel against Kings Academy, following boys varsity volleyball at 6:45 p.m. That's all from me, now back to you.
I'm excited for the athletes who will be putting bat to ball today in this gorgeous daytime weather.
You know, Thomas, bats are nocturnal animals, which means they come out when the sun is not shining.
I was talking about baseball bats, Jason. But some sun means no bats, and I'm happy to report it will be a bat-free weekend, since the sun is going to be shining bright for the next few days.
Let's get to the mappy bat maps.
As you can see in San Francisco, we got a high of 65 and a low of 48, roughly around 62 degrees with winds at about 8 to 10 miles an hour. Now, as you look at Oakland, we got a high of 72, a low of 48, roughly around 70 degrees right now with winds at about 6 miles an hour. As we go down south, we have a high of 75 and a low of 50. So that's our Bay Area temperatures for today. As we look at today in Palo Alto, today was around 72 degrees. We had a high of 76, a low of 49, winds at about 6 miles an hour. As we look at the next 2 days, we're expecting nice sunny days with highs at around 74, lows for 49. Now for the 5cast, the next couple days on the weekend will be pretty cloudy, but the sun will come back at the start of the week. Well, that does it for today's episode. By the way, advisory for today is for all freshmen and seniors.
Be sure to visit our website to check out old episodes, check the bulletin, or to send us an email.
Until next time, have a great day, Pally.